In this week's parasha, we see Parashat Mishpatim, which we talked about briefly last night. But one of the things that we should emphasize a little bit more, as we've talked about it many times, but we see that in the 23rd chapter of Parashat Mishpatim, in verse number 13, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "ובכל אשר אמרתי עליכם תשמרו, ושם אלוהים אחרים לא תזכירו, לא ישמע על פיך." Be careful regarding everything that I've said to you. The name of gods of others you shall not mention, nor shall your mouth cause it to be heard. So this is a very interesting halacha, very interesting statement by Kadosh Baruch Hu to remind us again and emphasizing that we have to be careful, but not just be careful. Be careful in regards to everything. Be careful in regards to everything, even including what we allow into our mind. There's a emphasis here that we, with our own little small minds, human minds, don't really understand what the necessity is. I mean, we've already understood that all of this stuff is things that we should take seriously, since he says, if you don't do this, you'll die. If you don't do this, you'll die. If you don't do this, you'll get punished. If you don't do this, you'll die. It's over and over again. But yet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu emphasizes once again that to make sure that we're careful with everything that we're doing, whether it's the not cursing our parents, not hitting people, not killing people, not being committing bestiality, not doing all, charging interest, all of these different rules that are mentioned here, but also including things that we may not necessarily think are such a big deal, such as the one that's mentioned in verse 7, midvar sheker tirchak, that from a thing of lies you have to distance yourself from. V'naki v'tzadik al ta'aro ki lo yatzdik rasha. And also you should know that you should not execute an innocent or righteous, for I shall not exonerate the wicked. That you're never going to get ahead, you're never going to win, I should say. You're never going to win in the end if you go against the tzaddikim. And one of the reasons why people think that they could win against the tzaddikim when they do what they do is because of money. And that's why the very next halacha, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "V'shochad lo tikach, ki hashochad ya'aver pikchim v'yisalef divrei tzaddikim." And do not accept a bribe, for the bribe will blind those who see and corrupt those who are just. So here we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, take everything that I say seriously, treat it very carefully, including things that you may not necessarily think are such a big deal, such as being distancing yourself away from lies, from a thing of lies, from a statement of lies, from people that are liars, from a business of dishonesty, and so on and so forth. And don't let the bribes blind you, because don't think that you're going to be the one that is going to not look at money and say, no, money doesn't talk to me. It's really more about doing good or whatever it is. Don't think for a second, don't trust yourself for a second, because as he says, the shochad doesn't necessarily always have to be a bribe where you're giving money to somebody under the table or something, but rather a bribe where you have something at stake here. And Kadosh Baruch Hu says that the shochad, this bribe, even blinded those who see, meaning those that are smart. Typically they're smart, typically they're brilliant even. Typically they are people that are reliable, and even ones that are tzaddikim, even people that are righteous throughout all of their life have fallen for bribes. So here we see that the Torah is warning us time and time again about how to treat the laws, how to, in essence, treat ourselves. As the Mishnah in Avot says, don't trust yourself until the day that you die. So here we see that the Torah is emphasizing over and over again the rules that we have to take seriously. Now the question is, these rules that we have, some of them, people will tell you today, they may not be relevant. They may be something that is perhaps relevant to the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, the days of David HaMelech, Hiskiyahu. When the Torah was the dominant force in the world, maybe it was relevant back then, but not today, which, by the way, anyone that says such a thing is 100% a heretic, that you have to stay away from, not listen to. You're not allowed to learn from such people. And many people are coming to me lately with, unfortunately, after the fact, after they did not listen to past advice that we've given to the public, even in some cases to people directly, to stay away from heretics. Like, for example, as I mentioned a couple of times recently, this Apikos, Asher Meza, who does mass conversions like he used to do in Christianity. Now he just does it in the name of Judaism. But as I told you many times, he's just simply a Christian pretending to be a Jew. And this Apikos, who likes his own opinion a lot more than the Torah, has more friends that are Christians and idol worshippers than he does Orthodox Jews, makes fun of the Torah on a regular basis, but yet he says that it's all in the name of the Holy Torah, where he wants to convert more people and invite them to Judaism, even if they don't live in Jewish communities, even if they don't really fit in to the Jewish halacha definition, and so on. He wants to convert the whole world, which again is not acceptable among Orthodox Judaism, or really Judaism in general. But he wants to beat the system. And quite a few people have come to me lately telling me that they've gone to him recently. They've become one of those people that fell for the trap, the so-called free conversion, which is really not free, just he pretends that it's free. And aside from that, it's a it's a conversion that's even if it doesn't cost money, it was actually better off that if it would have cost you money, but actually been a legitimate conversion that somebody would consider. But the people that have gone to him, then eventually they want to move to Israel, or they want to move to a normal Jewish community, and in both cases, more and more of them are being rejected, and in some cases not rejected in such a nice way. I mean, they're treated like literally somebody that's an idol worshiper in some cases. They don't even consider them a half a Jew. Not that there's such a thing as a half a Jew, but literally they consider them as idol worshippers. They consider them as missionaries, and they frown upon it. And those that know who Asher Meza is don't even want to accept these people even after they convert. A normal conversion, because of how bad of a reputation this Rasha has, with the rabbinical world. But unfortunately, the people that didn't know, or perhaps chose not to know, went to him, got their fake conversions, and now they want to join, the Jewish society in Israel or in America or other places, and they're being rejected. And then I say, okay, so what do I do now? What do I do now? I can't get accepted anywhere. You see, the problem is that what you do now is not necessarily going to fit in with everything that you've been taught until now. And the reason why is because everything that you've been taught until now is that you should do everything yourself. You should pretty much, put an X on the Rabbanut. You should completely disregard the traditional system. You should learn Torah up to your own understanding, and in essence, telling you what to do now is not going to fit in with everything you've been taught. Because what to do now, if you're in such a circumstance, is you have to abandon everything that you've been taught until now, erase it, literally pray that you forget every little bit of information you've learned from these wicked people, and restart all over, no matter how long it takes and how much money it costs and how difficult it is. And the reason why is because what to do now is what you were supposed to do from the beginning, which is to do tshuva. Now, by doing tshuva, every person has to do tshuva for different reasons. Sometimes people have to do tshuva for violating Shabbat, or they're born Jews, and they didn't keep Shabbat, they didn't keep family purity, and so on and so forth. They have to do tshuva for that. Some people stole, so they have to do tshuva for that. Some people wasted seed, so they have to do tshuva for that, and so on and so forth. But a person that goes against the rabbis, a person that goes against the rabbinical world, not just specific rabbis that, he had an issue with, or even more so, wicked people that pretend to be rabbis, but he just simply, put an X on the entire rabbinical world as you guys probably have a better imagination than I do with different terms that you want to use. And then the point is that, he just says, I'm going to do whatever I want. That person has to do tshuva. What kind of tshuva? Tshuva for ego. Tshuva for arrogance. Tshuva for literally every single thing from Aleph ad Taf. And the reason why is because up till now, you've been learning simply a different version of Christianity. You haven't learned Judaism yet. You've learned Christianity just from a Jewish perspective to some extent. When you learn from people like that. The same thing goes for these other teachers, so-called teachers or rabbis or whatever it is that teach heretical teachings, because really what they all have in common, whether it's Manis Friedman or it's Dror or it's a Prager or some of the other Mervis and so on and so forth, and it's obviously Meza, is that in essence they all fall into the same trap that the previous generations, reformers and heretics and apikosim were falling into, which is that the Torah is there to soothe me. The Torah is there to please me. The Torah is there to fit into my life. The Torah is part of my life, but not life itself. And in essence, everything I just said is the opposite of the truth. When people are taught that God needs them, then they're being taught the opposite of Torah. When people are taught that you can take halacha into your own hands and simply look at any canister of food's ingredients and decide whether it's kosher or not based on your own understanding of the law, that's the opposite of the truth. When people think that teaching things that are scary parts of the Torah, which is the death penalties and the punishments and so on, is not supposed to be taught, but rather it's supposed to be more pleasing, more comfy, more like you're sleeping in, under your little poof, your little, blanket that you have over there, in your nice cold winter, and you're comfy, and you maybe a few jokes here and there to keep you awake, and not teach any fire and brimstone. When people tell you that stuff, that's the opposite of the truth. Why? Because in essence, they're teaching you that the Torah is in essence a part of life, but not life itself. Let me know what you think, and make sure to share it, because other people need to learn too.